Hi guys, follow me on Instagram to never ever miss any of my crazy updates.
Try to tie me down, you could try to wear me out, pull me out in the rain, just gas on the flame, and you can't control, but you can't control. You could try to tame the wild, you could try to blame this child, try to medicate me, call it ADHD, but you can't control, but you can't control. Ooh, don't you know?
Hi guys and welcome to another vlog. I am driving these cars, the Porsche Cayenne Turbo and the Mercedes G63 AMG. Now of course both of them are massively mad. Both of them use V8 engines and both of them look gorgeous, handle well, have a lot of space, are premium SUVs bought by the CBU route, are very fast. I can go on and on and on, but obviously we can only vlog on one car at a time. I know the G63 is calling, but let's review the Porsche Cayenne Turbo first. So here we go. I'm driving this, the Porsche Cayenne, and as you can see the key is so beautiful. This is one of the most beautiful keys I have seen in any car. Porsche logo over here, and there is the car. Now it might look similar to its previous generations. The logo looks absolutely beautiful. It does look brilliant. So obviously hydraulic struts, Porsche written over here, 4-liter V8 Porsche Turbo. I mean, the engine bay looks really very nice. Look at the insulation and look at the finishing. Look at the color over here. I don't see any manufacturer do this kind of attention to detail. It is just phenomenal. And because Audi is part of the same group, so a similar style washer fluid is over here, and that's where you put the washer fluid. It has a net as well. Anyways, let's close the engine right away. As you can see at the front, yeah, it reminds you of the older car. But I'll tell you one very freaky and cool thing about this vehicle. There are vents which actually open over here, so they close when the car is off, and when it needs cooling they open. That's again a very nice thing. The headlight looks beautiful. Just look at the attention to detail in the light. So these are all LED lights, and obviously the fog light is also placed inside that. Static bending and whatnot. There's a lot of matte finish on this vehicle. It looks brilliant, just brilliant. I mean, from the sides the wheels are just massive. These are 21 inches. I'm not even kidding. These are 21-inch tires on this vehicle, and the size of the tire is massive, 285 40 21. But at the rear it is even massiver. I don't even think there's a word called massiver in the dictionary, but it's that big. I'm not able to tell you in words how big it is. That's why I said massiver. So these are 315 35 21, and look at those discs and look at the color of these rims. Now obviously there's a lot of gap over here. I think that's because so that the brakes can breathe better. And obviously at the rear, where is really the highlight of this vehicle in terms of these lights kind of continue over here, and Porsche has written. That's where you know this is the latest or the third generation of the Cayenne Turbo. And as you can see, it gets quad exhaust and a square exhaust. And look at the sound. Okay, now it's just turned on the car and it's making so much sound. So you can see there's this blue treatment below as well, parking sensors at the rear, and there's a camera. This car just looks absolutely scintillating. In fact, this rear spoiler is deployed with the press of a button, or at high speeds it deploys on its own. That's the level of attention to detail. From the side, it just looks so sporty. I mean, it's an SUV, but it's a sports car in every possible given way. That's how cool it looks. So let's quickly see this again. And as you can see, Porsche written on the brake calipers as well. Let's quickly open the boot of this vehicle, and obviously it's not a 7-seater, but it's still a decent sized boot. So yeah, the boot is decent size, but a lot of these things actually remind me of Audi, because I've been driving a lot of Audi cars of late. So here we go. Spare wheel obviously can't be an alloy. It is a 195/65/20, and in the interest of cost cutting, no, in the interest of fitting the spare wheel in the boot. Otherwise those big massive tires on the outside will definitely not fit on the inside. Bose sound system, well, not really premium, should have had a more premium sound system. Now you can drop the height over here for easy accessibility, and you can raise it as well. So if you're putting a lot of luggage, you can drop it, so it becomes just easier to throw in stuff. There's a light here, there's a light here as well, and this seems to be a number plate. It says Cayenne Turbo. Yeah, one for the front, one for the back. As always, press a button and the boot closes. So in terms of technology, this Porsche is loaded with a lot of it. So let's quickly get into the rear seat of this vehicle. Doors feel very heavy, very heavy, and obviously this is electric recline. So if I press this button, it reclines electrically. press another button, that's to open the power window, and the window goes only this much down. It doesn't go all the way down, so I would say 75%. As you can see, the cabin feels like a really nice place to be in. Now the front seats are really very big, and they're very robust. A lot of plastic over here, hard plastic on the back side. And you can actually press this button and there's a port over there. I'm not sure for what it is, and it has the Audi logo over there. Yeah, there's the Audi logo. Anyways, as you can see, you can lock or unlock the door from the rear as well. The seat is extremely comfortable. There's good amount of headroom on offer. There's good amount of under thigh support as well. Legroom is good, knee room is good, and there's a center armrest here as well. Although I wished the cup holders on the center armrest would have been a bit more sophisticated. Meanwhile, there are 3 headrests on offer over here. There's a center tunnel over here, so 3 people won't be really comfortable in the rear. Meanwhile, over here you can see there's a USB socket, there's a 12-volt charging socket, and there's space to keep stuff as well. And look at this beautiful 4-zone climate control system at the rear. You can adjust everything. It also gets heated function, it gets cooling function as well. So a lot of features for the rear passengers, although a screen over here would be really nice for entertainment purpose, but I believe Porsche will sell that to you as part of optional kit. And this rear seat is high on comfort and luxury, and the door pockets are massive. Look at the depth in the door pocket. Meanwhile, let me quickly show you the massive dashboard of the vehicle. Look at the dash, look at the sportiness. It just looks mind-boggling. Now obviously you can choose colors what you want. This car is finished in all black for the sporty appeal. Meanwhile, you can also opt for beige and brown, which also looks very premium in this vehicle. Let's quickly get out and get into the driver's seat right away. So here we go. Not really a long walk, although this is 5 meters long in terms of length, and this is an 18-way adjustable driver seat. You can get any position you want. There's a lot of heat which is coming out. You can see there's a lot of space on the floor area as well. Now this is very similar to what we see in performance Audis, and it is exactly the same actually. So a lot of part sharing here and there. Door pockets are large enough over here. These are the controls for the power window switches as well as the mirror adjustment. It obviously gets memory seats. There are 3 memories you can save, and this is to lock or unlock the door. This is the beautiful handle of this vehicle, and you really actually walk into the car. So this is not the key. This is to turn on and off the vehicle. These are the controls for the headlights, and as you can see, there's a button over here you actually cannot see. Press this button and it turns on steering heating. Meanwhile, it says drop frame active. Now the steering feels really nice to hold, and it has got plenty of features as well. I love the finishing over here. The horn also sounds really nice on this vehicle. Now these are the controls for the multi-information display. This is for the audio system. Meanwhile, this is for the cruise control, and this is for voice command. You press this button and you can activate voice command and saying, say for example, blah blah blah. Anyways, as you can see, this is also the control for the indicators. On the right we have the controls for the wiper, and this is actually the control for the mode selector. So this is an individual. You can get into sport plus, sport, or off-road, any of these modes. This is
Excuse me.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Excuse me.
Excused you. Now what? Okay, you're not talking. Anyways, as you can see, the instrument cluster is really very nice. It gets these 5 ports. Only the tachometer is analog, everything else is digital. On the leftmost we've got the temperature meter, on the rightmost we've got the date as well as the time, and over here we've got the speedometer along with the trip meter and the odometer. On the right we get a lot of warnings, and you can obviously browse through this. So press OK. This is the G-force meter, sport chrono package, this is the GPS, and there are so many things over here. Tire pressure monitoring. It's also telling you the engine temperature, what is the oil temperature, the distance to empty. The fuel meter is on the top. Meanwhile, it also tells you the pressure in the turbocharger as well as the battery voltage. So yeah, it's showing 00 bar right now, and this is basically the multi-information display, which is telling you how much driving time and distance you have covered, what is the average speed, and what is the average consumption of fuel. Right now showing 3.33 kilometers per liter. So yeah, a little bit of beans, and it drinks a lot of fuel as well. And it also shows you how much power is being channeled to the front or the rear wheels. So this cluster is beautiful because the tachometer is in the center, and it feels so nice when you're driving this car. Absolutely love it. Meanwhile, obviously it gets an auto dimming inside rear view mirror. These are actually the lights, and this is to open the sunroof, and it gets a massive panoramic roof. Just look at the length of the roof. It just keeps going on and on and on. It covers both front as well as rear. Passengers need to press this once more, and there it's opening. Now if I press this button, there it reclines the curtain. So as you can see, the sunroof is very big in this vehicle, and it gives a very airy feeling inside this all black cabin. So let's close the sunroof for the moment. Right now you can see this beautiful finishing over here, velvet touch, and obviously you get a mirror as well as a light, and obviously you get another sun visor to block all kinds of suns. There's actually only one kind of sun right now which we are facing, but still over here also is the same thing. Only thing is that the driver won't be doing makeup as much as a co-passenger will be. So as you can see, quite practical to block the sun. Meanwhile, the center you get a nice analog clock. Now this also doubles up as a stopwatch if you're going to do sporty driving. So if I get into chrono, and right now if I press start, there it resets, and on the right also it says sport chrono, and I can record my lap timing. I mean, a clock getting converted into a lap timer is the most beautiful thing ever done, I feel. Anyways, as you can see, it is heavy in terms of controls. There's so many of them, and these are actually touch controls. Before that, let me show you below this front center armrest. There's some money actually. Anyways, as you can see, there's not much space as such, as much as I expected. 2 USB ports, twin cup holders, 12-volt charging socket, is a coin holder, and the glove box is decent size, and it is a cool glove box as well. Meanwhile, the AC vents are placed. Look at the finishing. I mean, the finishing on the buttons, on the temperature controls is just amazing. It obviously gets 4-zone climate control system, but you can see the finishing is really nice. There's a digital display. It gets seat heating. It also gets seat ventilation for both the front seats as well as the rear seats. Now this is turn off traction control. This is to get into suspension modes. And I mean, it is kind of easy, but it looks kind of complex. This is the electric parking brake. This is the beautiful gear lever, Cayenne written. And this is basically for the audio system. This is for getting into off-road modes. And this is the volume. This is the hazard light switch. So it is a little complex, but still very beautiful. Like, you know, you can increase or decrease the temperature, increase or decrease the fan speed. Okay, stop the lap timer right now. Now this one gets a 12.3 inch screen. It looks beautiful. It is very fluid. It's very fast. I kid you not, it took me half a millisecond to connect my phone to this vehicle. And let me quickly play some audio for you guys right away. As you heard, the audio quality is simply amazing. Everything feels so well insulated inside this vehicle, and this actually is quite complex, this whole system, to understand. It has a ton of features that I get into car. So this is basically the lap timer telling you the range. You can do a lot of things. Now if I press reset, stop, and there it goes back. This feels so beautiful and nice. Getting into off-road mode, you can decide so many things, and you can also use it as a split screen. Now you can get into on-road, gravel, mud, sand and rock modes, and you can decide on the chassis height. You can also decide on the camera view. It gets a 360-degree parking camera. This is the reverse parking camera with adaptive guidelines. So it is just such a beautiful car in terms of features, in terms of equipment, in terms of how every bit they have got great attention to detail. Everything feels so well put together, so detailed, so much attention in a Porsche Cayenne. I just wonder what is going to be in the Bentley Bentayga or even the Lamborghini Urus, because this car feels another level altogether in terms of the small bits, including the fact that there is such high premium material placed all over the place. And just look at the dashboard. I mean, look at this finishing. It gets a matte finish, beautiful stitched leather on the dashboard. The more I say, the less it is, because this car is just in an entirely different level altogether as far as quality, fit, finish, features, equipment and the feel good factor goes. Including the co-passenger also gets memory seats. Meanwhile, you also get this beautiful handle to hold on to, because obviously it has a lot of thrust. This car is just so beautiful and sporty. Let's quickly get driving. Alright, so we are driving the Porsche Cayenne Turbo, which means that firstly I need to drop the ride height. So I've made it low, and there we are in low. Meanwhile, I need to also put the chassis into Sport Plus. The chassis is in Sport Plus also, and let's get into drive. Put the drive also in Sport Plus, and we've deployed the rear spoiler. Let's turn off the air conditioning. Yeah, air conditioning has been turned off. Let's remove this plastic sheet as well. No, actually let's leave it there. Actually just remove the plastic sheet. Yeah, sorry about that. And yes, the rear spoiler is between 2 levels, it says. So let's get into drive, keep the rear spoiler pressed, and it has deployed right now. And the suspension is also Sport Plus. Let's get going. Now I won't turn off traction control. Obviously I can do it, but then it's going to twitch a lot. So as you can see, the steering feels amazing. It just feels fantabulous. So we are all set to go, and off we are. So this car is powered by a 4-liter bi-turbo V8, and yeah, everything is in manual mode. It will not upshift unless and until I decide to do so. So red lines all the way close to 7,000 RPM. This engine produces 550 horsepower and 770 Newton meters of torque. It has seen an increase in power and torque over the previous second generation model, and that's not all. It also is half a second faster from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour. That is a big improvement in the acceleration time, half a second faster. So it takes only 3.9 seconds to go from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour. That's absolutely fast and fantastic. Meanwhile, as you can see, the performance is very good. Performance is mostly linear. There's no low end lag as such, but in the mid-range it absolutely pulls like a rocket. And the best thing is, because the tachometer is right in the center, you can see the revs built up, and the top end, it absolutely screams. Now, it doesn't sound that great. I mean, it sounds great, but it doesn't sound as loud as you would expect it to, because it's very well insulated a cabin, and of course the exhaust isn't as loud as I would have expected. Now, I'm driving the G63 as well, and that has a very loud exhaust indeed. So in terms of engine performance, it is absolutely mind-numbingly quick. Now, to put all that power down, obviously they have a ton of systems, and these systems work brilliantly well in this vehicle. In fact, the systems are so fantastic. Everything feels very seamless, and the performance is mind-bogglingly punchy. As you can see, it absolutely flies and has great amount of composure around the corners as well. I just love the way this motor pulls. It's absolutely fantastic. It's fabulous. It's phenomenal. It's everything rolled into one single package. That's the kind of performance this car has to offer. It's insane. It is absolutely insane. And here we go. It absolutely takes off like a rocket. The thrust from this motor is just mind-numbing, and it keeps pulling and pulling and pulling. Such is the thrust, and even the brakes, they offer great stopping power. Very sure-footed brakes on this car. I love the way this motor is so refined lower down. Here it makes an absolute racket of sorts past the mid-range. So in terms of performance, Porsche has nailed it. This car feels like a sports car. It doesn't feel like an SUV, but you know what? It is very capable off-road as well. Looks like the co-passenger is going to fall off from the car.
But you can't tame a cageless soul. Well, you got to let it go. This kind of love is a wild animal, and you can't tame a cageless soul. You try to keep me in the lines. I just wanna go outside, take the long way home, find it on my.
So we are turning off traction control, which happens to PSM, Porsche Stability Management, and off we are. The way this car accelerates is just something else, mind-numbing, and it remains so stable at higher speeds. The overall performance deserves a great applause. In fact, this car's performance makes you feel like you're driving a sports car. I'm not talking only about performance, I'm also talking about the way it handles, the way the steering offers such great feel. Now, it has a lot of optional extras, and obviously you have to pay for them a lot of money. So there's torque vectoring, there is rear wheel steering, and it also gets an electromechanical anti-roll bar, which ensures that this car is absolutely brilliant in terms of front end feel. The steering is so feelsome, it feels so communicative as well. Now, how do you activate launch control? Very simple. Left foot on the brake, right foot on the accelerator, rev the motor, it says performance start, and off we go. And it actually lifts from the front. That's the kind of thrust it offers in performance start, the launch control mode. And I have to give it to Porsche. How can they make an SUV so good around the corners? It is so agile, it is so feelsome. Now, of course, it gets air suspension system. The ride height at the maximum is 245 mm, and you can drop it to 162 mm, which is amazing. I mean, you can get the best of both worlds. Now, of course, it doesn't get locking differential, but still, it's a very capable car off-road, other than the fact that the tires are massively wide and massively low profile. Performance start, and here we go. So in spite of this being an SUV, it is very capable off the road as well, and definitely what helps is the electronics on this car. You can increase the ground clearance thanks to the air suspension system, and very clever electronics. It doesn't get a transfer case, it doesn't get a low range gearbox and all these things which were there in the first generation of this model, but you know, with time, Porsche's technology has really improved leaps and bounds. Now this one uses an 8-speed torque converter gearbox sourced from ZF. It doesn't use a PDK gearbox, which is a Porsche trademark. However, you can manually take control of things using the steering steering mounted paddles, or you can even slot it on the left, which I've already done to get into manual mode. And trust me, the gearbox is extremely fast with shifts. It is so freaking fast with shifts. It will give you a downshift whenever you want. It will give you an upshift instantly, and you will not know when you have swapped gears. It is so quick and amazing with its gear shift. Simply phenomenal gearbox. Now, because I am hitting the red line at 7,000 RPM, it was running into the rev limiter, but otherwise, what a machine. Look at this. So silent, so smooth. You can't realize you're driving this car, and then all of a sudden, I don't know what happens to your right, like it starts to itch a lot, and you press the accelerator pedal, and my goodness, it just takes off. That's the kind of thrust it offers, and obviously it crashes through the bumps because it is on the stiffer side. On smooth roads, it is absolutely brilliant, but when you get onto bad roads, you can feel a lot of the road, and that's something which is typical of many European cars because they're made for European smooth roads, and as soon as you put them on Indian roads, well, you are in big trouble. Now, because I put the ground clearance to the lowest position, chassis height, it says low over there, I have to be really careful over speed breakers, but I love the thrust, and I've told this to you a million times already. Cornering ability is just sensational. The way it goes around corners, my goodness, the kind of composure, the kind of feel and feedback is just something else. Body roll is very well contained. Body movement is just not there around the corners. And yes, this is an SUV. It feels like a sports car to drive. That's how agile and sure-footed it is. There's so much grip from the tires. It's just absolutely insane. And just look at it through the corner. If I get into the gas, it absolutely punches hard and fast. My lord, the handling of this vehicle simply deserves an applause. What a car, what a machine. Absolutely maddeningly, brilliantly, fantastically, fabulously phenomenal. This is what the Porsche Cayenne is. The turbo, the 2.22 crore rupees on-road Mumbai car, which feels so great to drive, which feels like a sports car, a practical sports car for Indian roads, because it offers you the best of both worlds. It offers you the practicality without having to worry about that big fat freaking speed breaker, meanwhile offering you tremendous punch. It's so easy to maneuver. It feels light, it feels nimble, it feels agile, it feels sure-footed, it feels punchy, it feels everything in one brilliant package. And then you get onto the throttle and it absolutely rockets ahead like a missile of sorts, a missile which can carry 4 people and their luggage, which doesn't have to worry over speed breakers, which can go off-road as well, which can do everything, but it comes at a maddening cost, plus the optional extras also cost a lot of money. So guys, this is my review of the Porsche Cayenne Turbo S, the 3rd generation model, and it is absolutely sensational in every possible way. I love this car. I absolutely love this car. This is what a Porsche should be. This is how an SUV should be. So brilliant, so sure-footed, and such a big smile on the face it plants every time you get hard onto the gas. Yes, there's no diesel on offer, so all you diesel heads, including me, a little bit of disappointing. But as I see it, this is one of the best SUVs you can buy ever, if you like driving, of course. Anyways, guys, bye-bye. The more I drive this car, the more I have things to talk about it as well. As you can see, it's building the whole full pressure 1.4 power, and my god, what a launch. So as you can see, that there's so much attention to detail. It actually goes from 0 to 200 kilometers per hour in under 14 seconds. That's how fast it is. So you can see over here, it says performance start, and it builds the full pressure, and then it absolutely emits itself into orbit. Wow.